Do you want to know how to take a mega popular Harry Styles song, but make a sad, emotional version of it? Kind of like this?
You know it's not the same as it was, as it was, as it was. You know it's not the same as it was.
Well, my name's Christian Hale, and I'm here to show you how to do just that. I'm a Billboard charting producer-songwriter right here in Nashville, Tennessee. My music's been streamed hundreds of millions of times and has been licensed by major brands and networks like Nike, Google, Netflix, Hulu, and several others. So come on, let's get into this video and I'll show you step by step how it's done. So for a little bit of backstory on the song we're gonna be breaking down, As It Was actually one of 5 covers that one of my artist projects, Christian, did in collaboration with my good friend and artist, Frankie Orella. When doing a cover song, I personally feel like there's one of 2 approaches you can take. Approach number 1 is to go recreate the song exactly how it was recorded originally. The other approach is to go put your own unique spin on it. In the case of As It Was, and in the rest of the covers on this project, Frankie and I kind of wanted to do the latter and put our own spin on things. If you go check out Frankie's music, you'll hear right away that she has this incredible vocal that's super airy, has this unique quality to it that in my mind lends itself to this more minimalistic but cinematic-like production. So in the case of As It Was, that's sort of the spin we put on this and really the rest of the EP of covers as well. But without any further ado, let's take a look at the session here. Here's sort of just a scan of the whole session. As you can see, not too many tracks, not a very big session at all. And let's go ahead and break down what exactly is going on here. So where the whole song started, the very first thing we did is we clicked in a tempo and I laid down a scratch piano. And the scratch piano incidentally ended up becoming the final piano. I did one pass top to bottom of quote unquote scratch piano, as you can kind of see right here. This, and as you see, these are actual audio tracks with numerous inputs. So the piano we recorded is actually my real piano right over my shoulder here. It's a Boston UP 126 EPE. So amazing piano. And what I love about that piano is it can actually do the felt piano thing. So if you push down the middle pedal, down drops felt. And so this is actually a felted piano, which sounds absolutely amazing. Yeah, so that's the piano that's going on there. So kind of breaking that down a bit further, the mics and what's actually going on the piano is I have 2 Coles 4038s kind of out wide, and then up top 2 Neumann KM 184s, and then a Shure KSM 44 kind of right down the middle. Kind of just brings in a little bit more of like the hands on the key noise and sort of just like the mechanical kind of human imperfection sounds of the piano, which I love. And then all of that is being sent to this Specular Tempus reverb pedal right here, which is this stereo track. So that scratch piano, which turned into the final piano, kind of all together sounds like this. And as the arrangement moves forward a little bit and picks up, kind of starts to sound a little bit more like this. Yeah, so that's the piano part. If you go listen to this whole thing top to bottom, you'll actually notice that it's just the same 4-chord loop done over and over and over. And sort of one of the things that helps the verses and the choruses kind of lift from each other is just sort of the sparseness, the more whole note kind of rhythm in the playing and the verses. And then as the choruses, post-choruses, those kinds of things pick up, I played just slightly busier, not crazy busy, not overplayed, but just slightly busier, more like eighth note kind of things. The other thing we sort of wanted to do with this was kind of bring in more of those jazz like seventh kind of chord voicing. So I love that that's going on there. As far as the look of what's actually going on kind of mix wise on the piano, all the mics just sort of have super basic FabFilter Pro Q EQ on it. You notice the left-hand Coles mic is EQ'd a little different from the right-hand Coles mic just because they're picking up such different parts of the piano. So I'm treating those slightly different from each other. And then I'm treating the stereo pair of KM184s kind of up close, the same there, just sort of rolling off the low end and scooping that kind of like 800 sort of frequency range. And then kind of making a similar EQ move on the KSM 44. All of those piano mics are feeding this piano aux here too, which just has a little bit more Pro Q, kind of some dynamic EQ, kind of scooping out the low mid range. And then this Acoustica L Ray compressor, amazing. As much as this is compressing, really for me, it's adding this kind of rich, warm color. This compressor does kind of like a low mid sort of like warm body kind of thing that I absolutely love. So that's going on. And then OTT, responsible, tame OTT, not overkill OTT. Just doing a little extra, bringing the whole thing forward a little bit. And then this absolutely amazing, I have no affiliation with this company or this plugin, but this $20 sketch cassette plugin is nuts. I use it all the time on so much stuff. It sounds so good. Adds color, adds kind of the tape sort of retro vibe, and the presets they have here are amazing. I think in this case, this is literally just the factory preset. Love what it's doing so much. So the piano, just the mics through the plugins, but without the reverb, sounds like this. And then with the Specular Tempus reverb, sounds like this. That reverb just is so good, really, on everything. And as you'll hear, and as we jump into this, you'll see that Specular Tempus is on quite a few things. This infinity mode on the Tempus, so good. But as you'll see, I'm doing a little bit more on the Tempus back in the computer. I'm adding just a little bit of decapitator, kind of for some harmonic saturation. And then some Valhalla vintage verb on the Specular Tempus 2. I kind of like taking my reverb effects. I do this on vocal reverb, guitar reverb, like a lot of my reverb and delay tracks, and just like adding kind of some distortion, saturation, different things to kind of add color to the reverb and delays, just to kind of make them sound a little more interesting and have them sit in the track a little better. So that's what's going on there on the piano. It is my real piano, kind of mic'd up. And if you want to see more on the piano, go ahead and comment down below. Happy to do more videos and deep dive even further on how I mic up the piano, what the preamps are, and anything about the real piano. So after we laid down kind of that basic piano chord structure, I felt like you couldn't do a cover of As It Was without the infamous hook, the lick, the signature riff of the whole song. So went ahead and overdubbed another piano pass, which sounds something like this. Such a good part. I wish I could take credit for writing that part, but I didn't write that part. I just, re-recorded that part. That lick to me makes this song. It's such a good part. Yeah, it's awesome. I love what that's doing. And so that's the whole piano track right there. It's the same exact that lick. It's the same mics, same kind of mix preset going to the same aux with Specular Tempus, Decapitator, Vintage Verb, all of that. Same exact kind of mix settings. And yeah, all of that together sounds like this. Love what that's doing. So that was really the foundation of the whole song. So after we laid down all the pianos, the next thing we did is we kind of just snuck in a sub bass. And I'm a big fan, even on really minimal arrangements like this, of sneaking in a sub bass just for a little bit more kind of oomph and lift on the whole thing. And so what that sounds like kind of tucked into the arrangement is this. And to me, it's so simple. It's literally just, the 4 root notes of the chord progression, not doing anything revolutionary at all. But let me play that same part and mute the sub bass and listen to how much less satisfying, at least to me, that payoff of that post is without the sub bass. And with it, yeah, absolutely love what that sub bass is doing. And as far as what the patch is and what's going on mix wise, it's nothing crazy at all. It's literally just this Arturia Juno 31 bass 1. It's one of the presets from the Arturia Juno. I love what it's doing with a little bit of JST clip. I'll play that just soloed up without the JST clip. And then with it. Super, super subtle difference there. I think the clipper's just kind of bringing it through the speakers just ever so slightly more. But yeah, really subtle stuff. So yeah, I mean, we have sub bass and we have piano. And I mean, honestly, just those 2 elements right there sound really good to me. They sound full, kind of in good shape. The only other thing instrument-wise we added before we tracked vocals was a good old rubber bridge acoustic guitar. And man, I don't know about you guys, but I'm on the rubber bridge train right now. So the rubber bridge guitar we actually used was this like $200 used Gretsch Gen Ricky that I got. And man, this thing is so good. Like it's a bargain. And I actually like got these pieces of rubber. I don't remember what this is called, but I got these pieces of like rubber with Velcro on it somewhere off of Reverb and kind of just snuck this on the guitar. And it's like a done for you rubber bridge guitar sound. Sounds so good, and I absolutely love the texture that the rubber bridge kind of brings through this whole arrangement. Rubber bridge soloed up sounds something kind of like this. And as far as what exactly mix-wise is going on the rubber bridge, I'll go ahead and make it totally dry. So here's the totally dry, no plugins on it. Still sounds really cool. First, we added in a little bit of the Slate virtual mix rack, just doing a little bit of the USA, I think that's an API coloring into their 1176. Sounds like this. Into an instance of FabFilter Pro Q3, just rolling off some of the top end. Kind of just wanted this to sit sort of in the background of the track, rolling off low end and top end, sort of resonant frequency dynamic EQ moves, which sounds like this. Super minimal. Really, for me, it's as much about those filters as anything on that EQ move. Into this neutron exciter, love using this thing, kind of saturating all the top end to kind of get the whole thing to move forward, but through saturation like this. And then JST clip, kind of clipping the whole thing to do this. And then if you notice, that rubber bridge is panned to the left, but then I sent it to a delay track, but pan the delay send to the right. So you kind of have this stereo ping pong thing with the rubber bridge on the left and the delay on the right, which sounds something like this. As far as what that delay is, it's this rubber delay track right here. It's just this Echo Boy preset on the tube tape. A little bit of high cut going on, but that's the settings right there. Nothing crazy. And then kind of just, filtering off the low end, filtering off the top end on the delay, just to give it a little bit more of its own space kind of in the track there. One thing you kind of notice through the verse of the song is, and I'll just play the instrumental here so you can get a sense of it, but kind of through the first chorus and the verse of the song, it's just mono rubber bridge pan to the left. But then when the second chorus comes in, there's a left and right panned 100 take of the rubber bridge. And to me, that's just kind of a way that even on a more subtle, more minimalistic arrangement, it's a way that I can kind of keep the interest going. We sort of, from a width standpoint, through the first chorus, kind of have the rubber bridge just panned here. Through the next verse, kind of have the rubber bridge pan here. But then when the second chorus rolls around, instead of just kind of keeping it in the same place, we open up the panning 100% left and right. So it's just kind of this whole new, territory that we take the listener to. And I think that's a great tip that you guys can use in your own productions, is play around with panning in your mixes in terms of maybe keeping the verses a little bit more mono, and then when the chorus is hit, pan hard left, hard right, just to kind of go for maximum impact. That's a technique that I use quite a bit, and you see it at play here, and even in a very minimal arrangement, I think it's pretty effective. I'll play from kind of the end of the second verse, just the instrumental, into the second chorus where the left and right rubber bridge comes in, and hear kind of what that does. Without that left and right, sounds like this. Adding them back in. And if I solo those up, they're honestly, the parts are a little bit jangly. Not a ton of harmonic information going on. Sounds like this. To me, it's almost functioning kind of like a shaker would. It's percussive. It's just kind of helping drive the momentum of the track forward. But as far as the instrumental arrangement of the song goes, that's literally all that's going on. It's the main passive piano, the signature lick that comes in the post choruses, sub bass that comes in, and then that rubber bridge guitar. All together in the second chorus, that instrumental sounds like this. So yeah, that right there is the whole entire instrumental. Nothing crazy going on, but as you see, it's just good sound selection, kind of put in the right place with obviously a great song and a solid arrangement. So let's go ahead and take a look at vocals and see what's going on with that. Let me go ahead and solo up Frankie's lead vocal so you can hear what that sounds like.
In this world, it's just us. You know it's not the same as it was. In this world, it's just us. You know it's not the same as it was.
So yeah, as you can hear, obviously like super ethereal, verbed out kind of vocal going on. Let me go ahead and play the dry vocal and then we'll kind of start adding stuff in and I'll show you sort of what's going on there. So the totally dry vocal straight off the microphone into the computer sounds like this.
In this world, it's just us.
So as far as that vocal chain goes, that was my Manly reference cardioid microphone. Pretty much use that on every single singer, on every single song, different type of song that I write and produce. Absolutely amazing mic. Love what that does. Straight into my UAD Apollo, straight into Pro Tools. So kind of adding in sort of the dry plugins without any of the reverbs and delays, we have something that sounds like this.
In this world, it's just us. You know it's not the same as it was.
So as far as what the plugins actually are on my vocal chain, it's pretty much the same plugins that I use on every single song that I work on and every single singer, regardless of their style and kind of regardless of the style of the song. So if you'd like to see specifically what's going on in that vocal chain, comment down below. And if we get enough comments, I'll drop a video in the future breaking down my full vocal chain in detail. But yeah, the dry vocal with the plugins on it before we send to any reverbs and delays sounds like that. Went ahead and kind of sent to these other reverb and delays. These are kind of just my standard ones in my template. Again, comment down below if you want me to break that down. There's probably a whole other video in that, just these reverb and delay sends alone. But sent to those, the lead vocal sounds something like this.
In this world, it's just us.
And in the track, that sounds like this.
In this world, it's just us. You know it's not the same as it was.
Sounds great. Frankie's vocal's so good. With a singer like her, like you really don't have to do too much to, make her sound awesome. She sounds so good straight off the mic. But kind of from there, I almost stopped right there, but I was like, I wonder if there's a way to push this vocal even further, kind of into that atmospheric sort of cinematic land. And so for the first time ever, on this song, I experimented with sending Frankie's vocal to the Specular Tempus reverb pedal, same reverb pedal that was on the piano that I love. And kind of what that sounds like is this. This is, the lead vocal into the Specular Tempus sent back to the computer in this track right here.
In this world, it's just us.
Just the reverb.
You know it's not the same as it was. In this world, it's just us.
So that's obviously kind of giving it that washy, sort of larger than life sound. So then a couple things I did to take that Specular Tempus vocal reverb even further was, first off, I split off the verse reverbs from the chorus reverbs. And you'll see that I have the verse reverbs right here panned 80% left, right, and then that chorus reverbs panned 100% left, right. Kind of back to what I was talking about just a few minutes ago with the Rubber Bridge acoustic guitars. Just another way to, even on a super minimal arrangement, kind of help that chorus lift and sort of launch through the speakers just a little bit further. That's kind of the thought process behind that. But then I took the reverb and sent it to Neutron Exciter the S1 stereo imager on the chorus, but as you can see here in the verse, that's bypassed. And then Fab Filter Pro Q just rolling off some of the top end. If I solo up the reverb and bypass all of that, it sounds like this.
In this world, it's just us.
Adding them all back in.
You know it's not the same as it was. In this world, it's just us. You know it's not the same as it was.
So as you can hear, those plugins are really doing quite a bit to that reverb track just to kind of help it, just saturating it, kind of driving the mid-range and helping further push it through the speakers a little bit and sitting where it needs to in the track. So that's kind of the lead vocal, a little bit of what's going on with that. The final thing we did on this song was just a basic left-right harmony that comes in on the second chorus. Sounds like this right here.
In this world, it's just us. You know it's not the same as it was.
And you notice those are two independently sung tracks from one another. So she actually sang this take and then she sang that take right there. And we panned it hard left and hard right. It's pretty common for me in my productions, whether it be a more minimal production like this or a full bore pop production, that I'll do lefts, rights of almost all my background vocals. It's just another way to kind of create width and dimension in your arrangement. And I would say, you know, most pro pop songs that you hear, that's going on a good majority of the time. So yeah, both of those background vocals are on these tracks right here, being sent to this BGV aux. Again, if you want to see all my vocal chain in full detail, comment down below, let me know. And if we get enough comments, happy to make a full kind of walkthrough video on my full vocal chain. But that's another video. It's such a deep dive in and of itself. Don't want to get too lost in the weeds on that right now. But since Specular Tempus was the name of the song and I loved what it did on the lead vocal so much, I sent the BGV aux right here out to the Specular Tempus as well, running through the same plugins just with Soothe added. And because she was singing a little higher up in her register, kind of some of the saturation we added from the neutron exciter on the Tempus got a little carried away. So I kind of tamed out the reverb return with Soothe, which sounds like this.
In this world, it's just us.
With the lead,
You know it's not the same as it was. In this world, it's just us. You know it's not the same as it was. As it was. As it was. You know it's not the same as it was. As it was. As it was. You know it's not the same as it was.
love that reverb. Man, that Specular Tempus, it was the sound of the song. I love what that's doing. So that's the full vocal arrangement right there, which back in context of the track sounds like this.
In this world, it's just us. You know it's not the same as it was. In this world, it's just us. You know it's not the same as it was. As it was. As it was. You know it's not the same as it was.
So yeah, guys, that's the full arrangement, instrumentation, and vocal arrangement of As It Was. I do want to give you one other bonus tip here, and this plugin has totally changed the game for me in the last month. I'm honestly historically like not a big proponent of like just go get this plugin and it's going to change the game for you, but this plugin has changed the game for me. Let me show you what I'm talking about. If you notice on my master bus, and the bounce from this session is what was released to Spotify, what you can go hear right now. There's literally only one plugin going on, and it is the God particle right here. And this plugin for me was like an absolute hack, game changer, all in one. At least for me, up till this point, I've never found a plugin that can do so much in kind of one box right here. And like, I feel like I'm giving away the secret right here, but this thing is amazing. Absolute game changer. Again, I have no affiliation with Cradle Hub, who makes the God particle. I'm just a massive fan of this plugin. So go get the God particle. Let me play the mix without it, and then I'll add it back in and just listen to what this thing is doing. Without it,
In this world, it's just us.
with it.
You know it's not the same as it was.
I mean, do I need to say any more than that right there? Sounds amazing. It's doing like all the good mix bus things you want out of a mix bus. I kind of have historically a pretty complicated mix bus chain with a whole bunch of plugins on it. That God particle has kind of, in most of the songs I'm working on since I got it just a short time ago, kind of replaced all of it. So absolutely love what the God particle's doing. Go get that thing for an amazing quality, but such a simple execution of a mix bus plugin chain right there. So good. Well, that's a wrap on this breakdown of how I made this cover of As It Was. Hope this video was helpful and gave you some tools and tricks that you can take into your own production workflow and level up what you're doing really quickly. If this video was helpful, subscribe to the channel, hit that like button, and hit that notification bell for more videos just like this. We'll see you next time.